Welcome to our Thursday morning gathering brought to you by Point32 Health, which is the parent company of Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. If you haven't opened your chat, go ahead and if you feel inspired to, open your chat and select everyone from the drop-down menu. And for anybody that's new, my name is Tara Healey, and I'm the founder and director of Mind the Moment, the mindfulness program of Point32 Health. And these sessions are about 12 to 14 minutes in length. And we save time at the end for Q&A and also sharing, anything that you've come across, like an app or a podcast that you want to share that's been inspiring to you in some way. There's an opportunity at the end. And then, of course, for anybody that has to jump off, you can do that. I wanted to actually read a little something from a meditation teacher named Gil Fronsdal. And Gil teaches in the insight meditation tradition, which is mindfulness. And he's a really good teacher. I sat a retreat with him in Northern California. Gosh, it's probably 10 years ago or so. And I've always really enjoyed his teaching, but I thought as we start our practice this morning, I wanted to share this because it's about thoughts, it's about thinking, and that is something that I think it's one of the reasons why this practice is challenging, is that we are we are sitting without any distraction and with the busyness of our minds. And that can be unsettling and hard to know, like, what to do with the thinking. And so I want to read this. It's just really short. But he says, a piece of advice that I found helpful and relaxing is when someone said, quote, for the purpose of meditation, nothing is particularly worth thinking about. So for the purpose of meditation, nothing, and it's kind of a double play on words, nothing is worth thinking about. And he goes on to kind of say that thoughts can come and go as they wish in meditation, that we don't need to become involved with them. He says we are not interested in engaging in the content of our thoughts. Mindfulness of thinking is simply recognizing that we are thinking without getting caught up in the narrative, whatever it is. And the other thing that I have often found helpful is when you're caught in a thought loop, just like a story keeps playing over and over and over again. And that often, and many of my teachers over the years have said the same thing in different ways, which is there's usually an underlying emotion that has not been addressed, and that's fueling the loop. That's just fueling that thought loop. And so a way to work with that is even just drop in a question, because you don't necessarily need to actually know that answer right away, but what is fueling, what emotion underlies this story? What emotion underlies this story? And then see if you can tap into the wisdom of the body for that answer, rather than thinking or getting the intellect involved, but just really feeling into where is the emotion predominant in the body, and can you allow for it? So allow is a word I've been using a lot in practice, because when something is coming up that is unpleasant, resist is a very common reaction, and natural, right? Just natural. And when you see that, I have been just saying allow and soften and then feel into. And again, like just this practice, there's nothing to blindly believe. So you're like a scientist and a subject who's testing out some of these theories. So with that, let's go ahead and move into practice. So You want to be seated or standing or lying down if you're not too tired. And eyes can be open or closed. And if they're open, gaze downward a little bit. And let's begin, as we often do, with just 2 deep breaths on your own. We all breathe at different ways. So make your exhalation a little bit longer than your inhalation and just use the breath to help you settle. See if you can just surrender your weight into the support of the ground below. Just, allow gravity to do its thing and know that you are being held by the earth so that you can literally release into the support, yet maintain a posture that's engaged. Not too tight, not too loose, not so loose that you might fall asleep, not so engaged that you're not comfortable, but just finding that sweet spot of ease, but engagement and alertness. And let's just check in with the body. So letting go of what's happened, releasing anticipation with it in regards to whatever is next. Just bringing attention to your whole body and feeling physical sensations from your activity with an attitude of allowance. So nothing to do, especially if something feels unpleasant. Just making note of that. So whole body awareness. And take a moment now to just expand awareness to include sound in the room or outside of the room. And making a soft mental note, hearing, just engaging that sense. And allowing sounds to arise, do their thing, and move on in your background. Bring awareness back into your whole body and hold whole body awareness. And just take a moment on your own to kind of just explore through the body with your awareness and see what areas might be calling for attention. The face or the belly, the feet. Nothing special that we need to do other than be aware of what's happening and receiving it. And in this practice, even like a subtle discomfort, like an itch or maybe even like a minor cramp, see if you can allow that body sensation to do its thing without interfering other than with your awareness. And notice that whether you scratch the itch or knead out the cramp, it'll arise, it'll have a life form, it'll move. And it's just a way to gain some stability with things that are unpleasant, starting with stuff that's small and workable. As practice for some of the bigger things that happen. And let's move from whole body awareness to having a little bit more of a narrow focus and find an anchor, something that you can bring your attention back to each time the mind wanders. And so that could be breath sensation anywhere in the body that you feel it most prominently, including the whole body, the movement. If you're able to feel the movement of the inhalation and exhalation in a whole body way, then You can track that. It could be more narrow, like the belly rising or the chest rising or the air entering and leaving the nostrils. And alternatively, you could use sound in your background, or you could take your palms and rest them on your thighs, and the point of connection could be your anchor. You could touch your hands together, and the feeling of the contact could be what you use. So take a moment to just see what anchor are you going to use this morning? Noticing where the mind is, just letting go of that thought. Allow the body to soften and return. And again, noticing where the mind is and just letting that narrative go, releasing it and softening your body and returning. And as we bring this practice to a close, I'm going to read from the Dana Fald's book. And you can just move your awareness from whatever anchor you've been using to tracking the words. This is what I have to say to you. What is true right now? When you're open and receptive, what is your direct experience of this moment? If you lay down your defenses, what remains? When you release your past conditioning and let go of your small self, what draws your awareness? Ask the questions and let the answers come. Let them fill you up as if you are a cup and life a pitcher pouring freely. So the beauty of that is that over the years, the teachers have always said, you can just drop in some questions and you don't actually search for the answer. You just drop the question. And so I dropped those questions in for all of you, for myself as well. And as you feel ready, take a moment to just reorient to the room you're in, look around, maybe do a little bit of a stretch. And so we've got a little bit of time, and of course, if anybody needs to hop off, thank you so much for joining this morning. But for those of you that can hang out a little bit, please, feel free to pose a question if you've got one in the chat, or share your experience of practice, even just now. Like how did that practice settle with you? Is there anything in particular you noticed? Um, the thing about the underlying emotion is pretty significant with thought loops. And, I'm in a little bit of a conflict with a family member. And so I can see, watch my own thought loops. And I've been just working with what is actually the underlying emotion here. And again, it's not like I don't have to really like search for it, but see if I can, just feel into the experience. And again, just allow. That word is so helpful because I think, when something's going on that's unpleasant, the resistance adds an extra layer. I think that's something you've all probably heard, and I've probably said at different times, is that you've got this issue and then you have the resistance to the issue. But what if you drop the resistance and you're with whatever it is that's happening, like in a direct way, which is in this practice, we use our bodies. Um, thanks, Julie. Underlying feeling, yeah. Yes, yeah. And again, like the thing that the teachers have always said, which I really appreciate, but it's a tendency in our culture, I think, to want to find that answer. Like, I want to know what the underlying emotion is here. And really over and over again, and I am saying for 25 years, teachers in one way or another have said, just drop the question in to the mind body. Just drop that question in and let it be. Just let that be. I haven't tried longer. You know, so Susan, I highly recommend trying a little bit. I think that if you were going to do like a multi-day, that is probably something, although this is not true for everybody, but so it's kind of individual. As I answer this question, I would say I started with a weekend. I started with 1 days. In like 1995, I started going to the Barry Center for Buddhist Studies, and I did a bunch of 1 day events and weekend. And that that place in Barry is a combination of dialogue and silence and dialogue and silence, and it's a really beautiful place to practice. And again, like um, it's you don't have to be a Buddhist to go there. You don't have to buy into that tradition in any way, shape, or form. And they have lots of different options. The Insight Meditation Society, which is also in Barrie, they kind of share land, and they do weekends. And I think, you know, just I mean, a weekend might be okay too, because it's like from Friday night, you get a one full day Saturday, and it usually ends Sunday morning. So I would say that's a good way to start, but you don't have to train super. I wouldn't say for longer retreats, maybe, but yeah, I mean, we're so lucky, like here. And up in Maine, there's a small retreat center in Saco. Rebecca Wing is the instructor she's the instructor for us, who she and her husband run that retreat center. So I highly recommend her. And I think he's a practitioner too, but I don't know him as well. So if you don't want to travel, there's that. I know there used to be an Insight community in Portland. I'm not sure if that's still going or not. It might be. So we still have a few minutes. So anybody else want to ask a question or share an observation, anything um, about practice, or even, of course, like share an app or a podcast or a book that has been helpful, that's related to practice. Well, it's 8:58, so The Untethered Soul. Thanks, Jeff. That's familiar. I feel like is that a book that's been out for a while? I might have read that. Um, yeah, the thought loops, Teresa. Yeah. Yes. Thought loops. Yeah. Allow, notice annoyance. notice resistance. Um, See if you can drop in the question of what is the underlying emotion here? What might be the underlying emotion? All right. So thank you, everybody, and stay safe. I think out here in central Western Mass, maybe like 5 inches. So pretty significant. And I'm looking forward to getting out, but it's still coming down. Um, so okay, everybody, take care.